I am Angela McAfee with SEO Rocket, and welcome to Building a Local SEO Strategy for local and multi-location businesses. You have all joined in listen-only mode, which means we can't hear you, but you can hear us, I hope. But you do have an opportunity to ask questions of us, so there is a questions chat box in your dashboard. Please feel free to ask us any questions throughout the presentation, and at the end we will do our best to make sure we get all of them answered. Be sure to stick around for that. Once again, I am Angela with SEO Rocket, and I have with me today here Zane Tuck. Zane is our local SEO specialist. He has been with SEO Rocket for about 6.5 years now, and he is our go-to guy for everything local SEO and reviews, online reviews related. So he's our guru. This is our second webinar in our Building a Strategy series through SEO Rocket. So thank you so much for joining us today. Our mission here is to walk you through the planning and the tactics that we use when we're working with our own clients. So this will help you to dominate the local search market and also understand which marketing tactics are most important to SEO if you're a locally focused business or you have multiple locations that are all locally focused. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Technical errors aside, I hope where everything goes well. I am going to take our cameras down so that you can focus on our presentation. First thing I'm going to do today is go through a little bit of a pre-launch checklist, okay? So these are the things that we look at as we're starting to work with a client, sort of before we even develop a strategy. These are the things that we need to know and you need to know, okay? Few foundational steps here, and I'll try to be brief with them all. First is your need. You have to determine your need. What do you want your site to do or do more of? Think measurably here. Things like phone calls, contact forms, submissions, landing page traffic, etc. You know, these old KPIs, also known as key performance indicators that are important to your business. Think of those first. Next, let's build those indicators into goals. And we're going to make that a SMART goal, okay? Turn your need into a success by making it a SMART goal. And by SMART, I mean, we want it to be specific, measurable, which means that's going to give you performance data on the specifics of, say, Google My Business visits or contact form fill outs. Achievable, so is it a reasonable goal? Relevant, does it make sense for your growth plan for your business? And time bound, which is simply, hey, within a specific amount of time, say 6 months, 12 months. You know, don't be generic or cloudy with this. Know where you want to go so you'll know when you have gotten there, right? You'll know when you have achieved success. Next are the authorities. Who are the stakeholders in your marketing planning? You know, is it you? Is it someone else? When you're getting started and you're working on your foundational pieces, you really need to know who will have a say in your planning, as well as who will understand the values of the outcomes of your campaigns. You want to make sure these members are engaged in all of the planning, okay? So they have a voice and buy-in from minute one. And that's how you get the buy-in for the biggie, which is budget, okay? Budget. I'm actually going to slow down here and spend a lot of time on this because serious consideration needs to be placed here. This is a question that comes up very often. You know, what should my marketing budget be? Every business should allocate a percentage of its revenue to a marketing budget. You know, it's a tithing for your business, okay? There are two ways to look at it. The first approach, and this is the simplest, is the one we're looking at right now. This is for businesses that have not been measuring their performance data. And by performance data, I mean things like, you know, how many click-throughs or how much traffic you get to a page, how many contact form submissions or phone calls come from your site, sales, that kind of thing. If you have not been measuring that, what we call performance data, but you know your revenue, this would be the approach I would suggest that you take. It's the easiest way. You just make it a percentage of your gross revenue. So the rule of thumb here would be 12 to 20% of your gross. If you're a newer company, maybe you need to establish yourself, establish your brand, establish your reputation, go for 12 to 20%. Ironically, it's a little harder to get that number when you are a newer company, but this is your rule of thumb, okay? 6 to 12% of gross if you're a more established company. So at that point, you've got more word of mouth, you have some marketing going already maybe. You know, go to 6 to 12% if you're a more established company. Now, of course, your results may vary. You may need to spend a little more, a little less. Maybe you're a seasonal business and you have to shift through the seasons, you know, based on when the bulk of your business is. Like, that's totally understandable. This isn't a hard and fast rule. It's more of a rule of thumb. But these percentages are an awesome starting point if you have no idea where to start. Okay, just start there and see how that goes for you. Second approach, our budget calculator. This uses your growth goals according to that historic performance data and digs deeper into the math of all that. Now, once again, you have to have that performance data, all right? You have to have it. This is where, you know, Google Analytics comes into play, or, you know, any marketing reports that if you're working with a provider, a vendor, or freelancer, if they're providing those reports for you and you can see that data, this is where you actually have to have that data. But if you have it, you're in an even better position. So that's why you should strive to achieve it and get it in. Okay. For example here, let's imagine your marketing team wants to acquire 50 new customers. I'm just going to use that example. To determine that number, you first need to know what's your average cost per lead. This is how much you spend to acquire a new customer, all right? So simply divide the total amount spent on your specific type of marketing. Let's say it was digital marketing or paid search or SEO. Divide the total amount spent on a specific type of marketing by the number of leads generated by that marketing, which is going to give you your average cost per lead. You'll need to know this later. The second number to determine is your average conversion rate. Once again, using that performance data is the rate at which these leads actually convert and become paying customers, right? The formula here is the number of conversions, aka paying customers, or a lead, whatever you consider your conversion to be, divided by the number of leads generated by the marketing, equals your average conversion rate. Actually, I misspoke on that. Your conversions really are only your paying customers. So it's the paying customers divided by the number of leads generated by the marketing to equal your average conversion rate. Next, let's take all of that information and use it to calculate your annual marketing budget, okay? Number one, how many leads do you really need? First, determine your number of leads your company needs in order to reach X amount of customers, whichever X is for you. We've got 50 here as the example. You can use this, you can plug in your own numbers, obviously based on your business size and need here. So here in this example, you have a goal of 50 new customers divided by your 20% conversion rate that you've already figured out equals 250 leads. This means you know you need to generate at least 250 new leads in order to reach your goal of 50 new customers, right? In this example. So now, how much is this going to cost you? Let's say your average cost per lead is $100. multiply 250 leads that you need by $100 as your average cost per lead, you're looking at a $25,000 annual budget here. That works out to around $2,000 per month in this example. These are all examples, but this is why having those measurables in place is so important. This performance data that you bring in and track really is directly related to a good bit of your decision making, both starting out and throughout the process of your marketing and applying these tactics to your strategy. This is why it's so important. By the way, I realize there are a lot of formulas and examples here. So these slides will all be posted on our SEO Rocket YouTube channel and also on our site and our SEO Rocket blog, should you want to refer back to them and come back and go through and watch this portion again, because I realize there's a lot here to take in. I just wanted to really introduce these concepts to you briefly and go ahead and give you these formulas so you would have them, because these are questions that do come up quite often, and good to have. All right, one more piece of the pre-launch checklist, and that is timeline. The timeline. There are both long range and short-term tactics that can be part of any marketing plan that you put together, okay? These short-term tactics, those are ones that you could apply within a week or a month and, go ahead and get them rolling, get them started. So if fast results are a priority for you, then say maybe paid search or Google My Business or social media paid ad would be the best place for you to start. And you can always use these short-term tactics even in a long-term plan. They all work together, but it really depends on what your timeline priorities are as to which tactic you choose. The timeline allows you and any marketing partners to formulate the right combination. Now, once again, and we've talked about this before, but I always have to mention it. Goals, budgets, timelines, they are all totally interrelated. So an aggressive goal or an aggressive timeline will often require just an aggressive budget too, and vice versa. So all these things work together. You really need to be aware of that when you're thinking through your planning and setting your expectations. But the best way always to stay connected is to communicate within your marketing team and any marketing providers that you're using to make sure that you can address and tweak any of those strategies as you need to. And that is actually it for our foundational pieces. So I'm going to pitch this over to Zane now for him to talk about local SEO strategy with you.
Like Angela said, my name is Zane Tuck. I am the local SEO and reviews specialist here at SEO Rocket. I've been here for 6.5 years, since February of 2014. So I have spent nearly all of my time here really focusing on local search, local SEO, how businesses can take advantage of the tools that are easily available to them to help be as visible as possible when it comes to local search. Because over the years, the rules have changed, what's deemed important has changed, and we really have to stay on top of these things. And so that's what I've spent a lot of time on, and hope to share a few of those things with you today. So we'll go ahead and get started. And so a few things before we dive in. Local SEO is for, who's it for? It's for businesses that serve a local community. So types of businesses that could benefit from local SEO include everything from coffee shops and hair salons to plumbers, HVAC companies, as well as certain individuals such as attorneys, insurance agents, and real estate brokers. Want to make sure that you understand that SEO is still SEO. So If you tuned into our webinar last month, and if you haven't, please go to our YouTube channel and check that out. But our senior SEO expert, Tom Veltri, the items that he covered in last month's webinar regarding a lot of website and technical components, those are all still applicable for local search because your website is still important to your local visibility. Your website technical components like site speed, title tags, schema markup, all of those things need to be implemented and tested. They still are applicable. So again, if you didn't get to watch last month's webinar, I highly encourage that you go to our YouTube channel and check it out. It's really informative, and it kind of sets the groundwork for a lot of what we're going to talk about today. So a few things more that we want to talk about, and I mentioned it before briefly. Many aspects of local SEO have remained the same over the years, but some things have changed, including what Google considers a local ranking factor. So things like the proximity of the business to the searcher, that over the last 4 to 5 years has become more and more important of a factor. So things like that, things like your information in Google My Business, which we'll talk about a little bit, and content, links, those sort of things. Those have become more of a factor when it comes to ranking higher in local search. So today we're going to look at 5 things that we at SEO Rocket and me personally look at when I'm determining a local SEO plan. And so the first thing, like I mentioned, Google My Business. It has become the source for local business information on the web. Google tops the charts for search engine market share. 80% of desktop searches go through Google, and a whopping 95% of total mobile searches go through Google. So they have the market cornered. So obviously, Google My Business and Google in general is and should be your top priority. And the top of factors that affect rank in what Google calls their local pack: proximity to the searcher, on-site content, and reviews. 3 of the top factors, and we'll talk about all of those today. So we mentioned the Google local pack. So what is that? So if you do a search on your phone or in Google Maps or even on your desktop, so you'll see something like this. This is an example of a search for pizza near me. That's what I searched and got this in the Google local pack. The local pack occupies prime real estate on a search results page because it's usually right at the top, and a lot of times it's even above Google's paid ads. The local pack will show 2 or 3 locations, and sometimes there will be a paid ad within the local pack, but usually there's 2 or 3 locations, and this has all sorts of information that you can get about the business, from the location on the map to reviews, how many they have, what their average score is, product photos. So here are different pictures of pizzas from these different places, special attributes. And with the coronavirus and the COVID-19 situation that we're dealing with, Google added some attributes that restaurants and other businesses can add to their listing. So things like, is dine-in available? Is takeout available? Delivery, or in the case of Pizza Hut up here, no contact delivery. So this is all information that you can add for your business. And then of course, hours of operation, if they're closed, what time they open, or if they're open, what the hours of operation are. And in some queries, it'll even give you buttons where you can call the business or visit their website. And all of this information can be entered through Google My Business. So this is what the admin, the back end side of a Google My Business listing looks like. Once you claim your listing, you can update the information about your business. And first off, if you have not claimed your Google My Business listing for your business, make a note, and as soon as the webinar is done, go do that. That is vital to being able to control information about your business. And so if you haven't claimed it, as soon as we're done here, go do that. And once you do claim it, you'll be able to see all of this and edit this information. So, there's a lot, as you can see on the left. You've got, info, insights. You can look at reviews, photos, all of that information. So as you get into the back end, you can see where you can update your street address, your hours of operation, special, days that you may be closed. So if you know you're going to be closed the Thursday and Friday of Thanksgiving, you can go ahead and put that in. If you know you're going to be closed Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, you can go ahead and put that in and plan ahead. Your phone number, put that in there, your website, and as well as other things such as links to making appointment, which again is great for businesses like hair salons, services that you offer. And again, if you're a hair salon, you can put in, that you do cut, style, shampoo, all those things. A business description, which really helps you, lets you describe who you are and what you do to the world. Adding photos and all kinds of information. So there's a lot of information that you can add in here. So when I'm evaluating a potential client, what am I looking for? First off, like I said, I'm going to look and see if the business has been claimed in Google My Business. Next, I'm going to look for the NAP. And what NAP is that's an abbreviation for name, address, and phone number. And I want to check and make sure that that's correct and consistent. Does it match what they have, what we have in our information? Does it match what's on their website? Or if I Googled their business, if I searched for their business on Google, does it match what shows up on Yellow Pages or on their Facebook page? So it's, looking for, does the business name match? It really needs to be the same as what you would have on your signage outside your building. The address, it needs to match your street address. You cannot have a PO box or use an address of a virtual office like with I know Regis is one that has locations in Winston and Greensboro locally. So you have to have your mailing address listed as your address. And then again, your phone number should be your local phone number. We look at the categories that the business has assigned. Is it the best category available for that business? Within Google My Business, you can select multiple categories. So if you are a heating and air company, you can have, there are categories about heating contractor, heating repair, air conditioning contractor, HVAC contractor. Those are all separate categories within Google My Business, and you can select multiple ones, but you want to make sure that the best category available for your business is set as your primary category. And then you can select the others as secondary categories. And you only want to select categories that apply to your business. So if you're a heating and air company, you don't want to put that you are that you're an electrician or that you are a handyman or anything like that. You want to make sure that your categories only apply to your business. Good use of keywords in the business description. Again, this is you telling the world who you are and what you do. And so it's where you kind of have to walk a little bit of a fine line, because your business description needs to have a good, clear, thorough description of who you are and what you do without seeming spammy. You don't want to stuff it with keywords thinking that it'll help you get more views or more calls or more clicks. That may have worked 15, 20 years ago and been acceptable practice, but that's not the case now. It is frowned upon and can get you penalized within Google. So remember, searchers, real people, they're your audience. They're who you're wanting to target, not the search engine. And then good, clear photos of the business, of the signage, of products, of the interior of the business. And those are things that we look for. You know, the logo, do they have their logo updated? Is it nice and clear? Because good quality photos help convey your brand. And views come from all kinds of searches, not just web, but also image searches, using Google Maps, the app on your phone. And so this is an area that really should not be neglected. The next thing we look at are what's called citations. And what they are is they are listings on third-party sites. And they're not as effective now as far as ranking goes as they used to be. But they're still important for local SEO because not everybody, even though Google, you know, has the market cornered when it comes to search, people don't always get their information from Google. So, you know, if you're looking for the phone number of a company, or you're looking for their hours or their address or what their website is, sometimes people end up going to other sites, like maybe their Facebook page or their page on yellowpages.com or on Yelp or other sites and directories that have that NAP information for that business. And one thing to keep in mind is that this is not getting citations is not a one and done thing. The info that you have out there gets sliced, diced, shared, and passed along to other sites. And one way I want to show that is this graphic here. This is a graphic representation of the local search ecosystem. And as you can see, information goes all over the place. There are what's called data aggregators, and there are 4 primary data aggregators: Factual Info Group, Axiom, and Newstar Localese. And they then send out your information. They send it to sites all over the web, from Apple and Google and Bing to lots of other lower tier directories. And in a lot of cases, even information provided by a verified owner, through Google or another site where you've logged in, created an account, put in your information, sometimes that's not always considered the most authoritative source. And one way that we help tackle that issue is we use an agency data feed as part of our local SEO service. And what this does is it continually pushes correct, consistent information to sources. And in addition to helping provide consistent data, what it does is it helps create and increase authority and build confidence for searchers that they've found what they're looking for. So as you can imagine, manually updating your information at all of these sites, it would take you forever. And so that's part of why we use the data feed as part of our local SEO service. So when it comes to citations, what do I look for? Well, I'm looking for, is the information correct and consistent? Are there old listings or old NAP info? If the business has moved, changed locations within the last few years, are there listings that still have the old address or the old phone number? Or maybe they've, changed their website. And so that's information and that we need to know, because that will need to be addressed. And the next thing we look at is the business in those well-known directories? Sites like Yellow Pages, Super Pages, Dex Knows, but also others like Yelp, Google, and Google My Business, and Facebook. Want to make sure that they have the presence in those directories. And then is the business in any related niche directories or industry related directories? So for example, a restaurant or a coffee shop, are they on Urban Spoon or Open Table? Or if you manage a bed and breakfast, are you on TripAdvisor? So those are the things that we're looking for when it comes to citations. The next thing we look at is content. And content is one of the more important things that we look at, and a lot of people overlook content as part of their local marketing strategy. And whether you have one location or 10 locations, a solid content plan is essential for local search. So here's another local pack for a query for hair salon, Kernersville, North Carolina. And Kernersville, if you don't know, it's a small town in between Greensboro and Winston-Salem here in North Carolina. So in this local pack here, the content that's on your Google My Business profile, as well as information on your Contact Us or your location page, helps with your visibility in the local pack here. And further down on that same, for that same search, are the organic search results. And content that's published regularly, such as blog posts and other information on your website, will help you appear in the organic searches, such as these two examples here. And so when it comes to content, what are we looking for? You know, if the business has multiple service areas, are they addressing that? You know, if it's an electrician or a plumbing company or many other home service providers, it's quite likely that they serve multiple areas, multiple cities. And so does their website reflect that? Do they have content that talks about, you know, what they do in this city and in that city? And the next thing we look at is there content for people at each level of the marketing funnel? And so what do we mean when we're talking about that? So let's talk about that for a quick minute. Ideally, your plan should include creating content for people at all levels of your marketing funnel. From those who are just learning about you, those are the ones at the top of the funnel, to existing customers and those who are ready to buy. You should create content that would be interesting to your audience. You know, you have to know kind of the type of people that come to your website and post information that would be helpful to them. And when you do this, it allows you to show others your expertise and authority on the subject. And it also turns your website from a static digital brochure to a sales tool that works for your business 24 hours a day. And I'm gonna be straight with you, it takes work, it takes commitment, especially to do it well. And the people who do this well will benefit down the line, and those who don't won't. And it really is that simple. And it's not easy, but it really is that simple. You know, work and commitment. Does the business post local content? This is another thing that we look at. So again, you know, posting about, you know, maybe a sponsorship of an event locally that they're involved with, or any other, you know, posting, you know, links to, you know, or embedding videos of when they've, you know, been featured on the local news because of whether it's something good that their business did, or maybe they were tapped as a resource to talk about an issue going on within their community. You know, having that information on the website helps build that local presence, and it helps reaffirm that it's a local business in that area. And then is the business using Google Posts? You know, Google loves it when people and businesses use their products, and Google Posts is a great way of getting visibility in local search. And so that's one thing we look at. Are businesses using Google Posts? And so if it's a single location business, you know, some of the things we look for, again, correct NAP information on the website. Is it in the footer and on the contact page? Are they the same? You know, do they have written out driving directions on the contact page? So, you know, you may see this on some websites where it says, you know, from the east, take Interstate 40 west to exit 201 Union Cross Road. Things like that. Using the local landmarks in those driving directions. And again, it just helps helps send the signal that you're a local business in that community. And then kind of like what Tom mentioned last month, we look at the page titles, making sure images are optimized, because again, like I said earlier, site views and page views comes from all kinds of places and all types of searches. And so somebody may be doing an image search and pull up a picture that you have on your website. So these are all things that we look at. And if it's a multi-location business, do they have a page on the site for each of those locations? If they don't, they really should, and that's something we would bring up. Because each page should have unique content and NAP information for that individual location. So if you have if you're a business and you've got a location in Greensboro, one in Winston, one in Charlotte, one in Burlington, you should have a page on your site for each of those locations with the NAP information, Google Map, local content for that area. So that's something that we look at. Number 4 is link building. And what link building is it's all about your reputation as far as search engines go. A link to your site is considered a vote of confidence by search engines. It conveys a sense of authority about the topic that is linked to. The reputation of sites linking to yours affects how much value Google assigns to that link. The more links to your content, the more Google sees your site as an authoritative source for the topic. But more is not always better. Think of links like a job reference. The quality of that reference carries weight. And another piece, link building is another piece of the plan that many people don't spend enough time on. And much like content, it usually requires the most effort from business owners. And just for a quick second, I want to talk about reciprocal links. And that's where a business may say, I link to you if you'll link back to me, kind of a you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of thing. And really not a big fan of that, because it just waters down the value of the link. Google doesn't know whether there's any real value in the link from that website. And so you really don't want to get into any sort of link building schemes going along those lines. Links need to be more than just reciprocal. You don't want to have links that are from businesses and other sites that are way, way off from your subject matter. So if you are a heating and air company, you don't want a site from a link from a site that is any sort of really, spammy site, or even, like if it's an ice cream shop, unless you did business for that shop and maybe they've posted some content that says, we had a great experience with ABC Heating. Here's how you can, we highly recommend them. Check them out. That's different. But you really want links from sites that are highly authoritative and similar to yours. And so when it comes to link building, what are we looking for? We look at what's called domain authority of the sources of those links. And domain authority is a search engine ranking score. And what it does is it predicts a website's ability to rank on the search result pages. And it's a score from 1 to 100. The higher your score, the more likely it is that your website will rank. The higher the domain authority for a link to your site, the more favorable that link is in the eyes of search engines. Each domain linking to your site should have some sort of relevance to that site, either due to the purpose of the domain or because of the topic of the article. And kind of like I mentioned before, if you run an ice cream parlor, but all your links are coming from auto manufacturers, that might raise some suspicions that you're getting your links through less than legitimate ways, or what it does is it sends signals that your links may not be providing value to people that encounter them. For a truly strong link, the anchor text needs to be semantically relevant to both the article it's linking to and the article in which it's included. You really don't want to use click here for your links when you're linking to other sites, and even internal links to other pages within your site. So if you're linking to an article about repairing a roof, then the text repair a roof really could be the link. Or if you are linking to an attorney, you could have contact an attorney, that might be relevant. But you don't want to use the same text over and over again. Google's algorithm will catch it, and you could end up penalized. So again, relevant, diverse anchor text links, much more helpful and much better off in the long run than using the same text over and over again. And the last thing we're going to talk about are reviews. And this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I feel very strongly about reviews, and I think it's one of the most important aspects of local search. And most business owners would say that reviews are important to them. But on the flip side, most owners would say that they might not be as proactive as they should be about getting reviews. And that could be for different reasons. Maybe they don't know the best way to get them, or the best way to ask for reviews. Or they say they don't have enough time to manage the review process. Or maybe they know that they have some issues and they don't want to deal with negative reviews. But that's really important. And we have a tool that helps with that called Rocket Reviews. And so it helps with a lot of these things that business owners, cite as reasons why they aren't as active in asking for reviews as maybe they should be. So what we look for is asking for reviews part of their internal process. If they're not, that's a big red flag for me. People put the same trust in online reviews as they do a personal recommendation from a friend. So if they're not asking for and getting reviews, and the way I check that is I look at their Google listing. I look and see how many reviews they have. How many have they gotten in the last month? That's a good indicator of how they may be as far as asking for reviews. Are the reviews only on third-party sites, or do they have them on their own site? So if a business doesn't have a properly marked up reviews on its website, that's a missed opportunity. And actually, it's a couple of opportunities. Not only does having properly marked up reviews on your site show trust and authority both to searchers and the search engines, but it's also another place on your website where you're getting fresh new content on a regular basis. And like we talked about before, fresh content, it's beneficial for local search. And so having that content consistently coming in on a regular basis, super helpful. Is the business actively responding to reviews, both positive and negative? I think that reviews can be a business's greatest tool if the business commits to the process, and that includes responding to the reviews, both the good ones and the bad ones. My feeling is that a business should respond to every review that it receives. It shows that management cares about the reviews. It shows customers that their concerns are being heard. And it provides the human aspect. You're more than just a coffee shop or a hardware store. There's a human being behind the screen, and responding to a review shows that they care about the customers. Reviews can let a business know what they're doing right, but they can also let a business know where they may have some issues that need to be resolved. And our tool, Rocket Reviews, helps with all of these things. It is easy to use, and it allows a business to take control of the review process with as little time spent as 15 to 30 minutes a week. Rocket Reviews automatically sends requests to your customers, respond to reviews. You can respond publicly or privately. It monitors reviews on your third-party sites, so sites like Facebook, TripAdvisor, and about 40 or 50 others. And so it will let you know when you get a review on those sites. It also allows you to have customers text a keyword to a phone number, and they'll get a review request on their phone. So this is great for places like coffee shops, bars, restaurants, any place where you can have that signage up. Have it in your store, have it on a menu, have it on a tent card on a table, any kind of way that you can ask for reviews. You can do that. You can have a code or a website URL that you can put on your receipts. You can import customers. It's just super easy to use. And like I said, it takes less than 30 minutes a week of interaction for you to be able to go in, check out your reviews, respond. Super helpful. We've got a page on our website with lots more information about that you can go check out. But in all 5 of these aspects, the big thing to remember is that consistency is key. So you want to have consistent NAP information for your business across the web, consistent and timely content additions to your website, consistent updating of your information in Google My Business, and consistently asking for reviews. In closing, that's my big key. That's what I want to make sure and hope that people understand, is that, if you are consistent in doing these things, you will see results. And none of these things are a one and done type of thing. You have to commit to the process. You have to spend time doing each of these things. And when you do, good things will happen in the end. I hope you've learned a couple of things. If you've got some questions, hopefully you guys have been sending them in the chat. I think that's about it for me. So I'll toss it back to Angela.
Okay, we did have a couple of questions come in. First one was, and I'm assuming they're talking about local SEO here. Looking long term, how long do I need to do this? I'm assuming that's local SEO. That's for you, Zane. I'll let you answer that one.
Okay, yeah, I'll answer that. So when it comes to questions like how long should I do this, or how many words should I have on a page, or the how much, the how long, those types of questions, there's no set right answer. How long should you do this? Until you decide to close your business. Local SEO is something that, as long as you're open, you should be doing. You should be consistently creating new content, updating your information, asking for reviews. There's something that you should be doing throughout the entirety of your business. As long as you're open and having customers come in, you should be focused and doing these things as far as local SEO goes.
Okay, awesome. And then we had one other one, and this one actually is from a health service provider. This says for businesses that have multiple locations, and we've dealt with this. We do a lot of work with companies who have multiple locations. For a business with multiple locations, should I get reviews for each location individually, separately?
Yes, absolutely. Your reviews should be for the location that provided the service. So if you have 5 different locations, one in Greensboro, Winston, Charlotte, Raleigh, Myrtle Beach, each of those locations should have their own reviews, because the reviews should express the experience at that location, and what someone experiences at a location in Charlotte may be different from what gets experienced at a location in Greensboro, and vice versa. So it really should be, each location should have their own reviews. You don't want to have them all aggregated into one account, at the corporate office or on the corporate Google My Business page. Now, each location really should have their own reviews, and you should respond to each of those reviews as they come in.
That's your final answer there, Zane?
Yes, that is my final answer. I fully believe that businesses should be responding to reviews, and they should be collecting them at each of their locations, whether they have 2 or 200 locations. Each location should have their own reviews.
I agree. I agree. Okay, so I don't know how we've done it, but we actually have hit time-wise at a perfect spot. So I'm going to start wrapping things up here today. We have, let's see here. Hold on. Yeah, I want to let you guys know we have some things coming up as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. You know, you can see this again on our YouTube channel if you want to refresh your information on any of that. Just go to our YouTube channel. While you're there, I suggest that you you go ahead and subscribe to the channel and click on that little bell icon, and that'll send you any notifications as new videos are posted and new webinars are posted in case you happen to miss one. We wouldn't want that to happen, but just in case life gets in the way and you do, that'll alert you that a new webinar is there. Also, too, I want to let you know we have another webinar coming up as far as our, you know, building the strategy series. Next month, October 28th, we'll be doing a webinar on building your paid ad, your digital paid ad strategy webinar. Sean Brown, who is our PPC, paid search specialist, he will be here as our guru of the day for that, leading that one. So please join us then. Our webinar, this one today, should be up on our YouTube channel sometime Friday. So we'll get it up there sometime Friday for you. You'll see it. Also, too, you're going to have a survey at the end here in just a minute when we shut down. You'll have a survey asking like 2 different questions, nothing major. We would totally appreciate it if you would take the time to fill that out and give us any ideas you have for other topics that you would like to get more information on, and we can build that into our webinar calendar for you so you will have that. I think that's it for now. So thank you all so much for your time today. We really appreciate you joining us. I know your lunch is waiting. We hope to see you on October 28th. And hopefully you feel like this was time well spent. It was for us. We've enjoyed it very much. So until October, when we see you again, thank you so much, and goodbye, everyone. We appreciate you joining us.